Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again. For the last time on this game, XRL is underway here at Brazil. I'm your host, Insane Layer 13, and it's a pleasure to be back with you. Last week was an off week where XRL just did a few exhibition races, but now we're back to the normality for one last time as we watch Young Maneuver and the Tracing Point navigate the last few corners around here. We're already in Q1. Apologies for timetable issues on my part. The broadcast is a little bit late getting started than normal, but this is it. It's a season finale weekend for all the series. In the XRL Dev race, they had an intense battle for a championship go down to the last race. I encourage you guys to go ahead and check out the replay of that race on this channel in the replays or on the XRL YouTube channel. I encourage you to do that, though, after today's race, because today's race can also be very interesting. Again, the Realistic Racing Series, this is its 17th and final race. It's the longest of all the series that we had for this season. We're going to be looking at a very interesting race, because there are a lot of people who have had really piss-poor seasons, to say the least. A lot of people who haven't been happy with the way their seasons has gone. This track, though, will suit them because it's a lot different than a lot of the other ones. It's very nice and flowy, but it's not traditional classic flowy. It has a lot of elements from various different circuits and a lot of very unique elements of its own. Not to mention Brazil in general is just a very chaotic circuit. We see a lot of very strange and interesting things occur at this track. We could say a lot of interesting stuff going on. Young Maneuver has gone purple in Sector 2. But anyways, we're looking at 16 people here. There may be a 17th that might show up late in qualifying. I wouldn't bet on it, but that is a possibility. Top 15 drivers will advance into qualifying session 2 here. As Young Maneuver crosses the line, the time that everyone's going to have to go after is a 1:08.469. That's what everyone's going to have to go for early on here. And really quickly, we can see one of the Ferraris, that is DJJ02. He's coming across the line to begin his flyer lap right now. Brazil, an immensely historic and amazing track within Formula One and within the nation of Brazil in general. Easily one of the most iconics here. While I wouldn't say it's my favorite circuit, I definitely would say it's probably one of the top 5 greatest circuits that Formula One currently utilizes, if not top 3. And you can see already how it does that. Very flowy, but you carry a lot of speed through a lot of sections on this racetrack, and that is a big benefit across the board. XRL Ledger and BG Bulbies have both set lap times right now. We're still waiting to see Hazel, Ozda, Zola, and Smoothie come out onto the track, as well as Beastian, Torpedo Veloce, and Ryan Hurricane. Reluctantly, Beastian's teammate Seal is not here for this week due to some personal issues. However, Beastian will be trying to bring some results for that team in his place. PPR Venom has invalidated the lap he was in the middle of. Fletch, though, is in the middle of a lap right now in the Alfa Romeo machine. And also something else to talk about has been the Williams XRL Ultimate. One of the best drivers within the entirety of XRL has had nothing but a complete struggle in the Williams. The Williams are the slowest cars, because in XRL they put the fastest drivers in the slowest cars, the slowest drivers in the fastest cars. Ultimate is considered one of the best drivers within the entirety of XRL, but he's not been able to utilize that talent to really get him into a place better than the lower end of the points paying positions. It's been a very rough season, and there's a McLaren that has gone around, and that is XRL Low, who has gone around there in Sector 2. There is some pretty significant front wing damage there. I have to guess that he put the power down a little bit too aggressively, and it just whipped the rear end of the car right around, and Hazel also seems to have an issue. We see him getting back underway. There's no damage to that car, but something has definitely gone wrong there. Ooh, Venom. Oh no, and Venom is out! But we can't see what happened. Let's see if I can get a better view here. Bulbies might be able to see. Yeah, that car is destroyed, completely off circuit. And there we are, our first qualifying session. Well, we know who's not going to advance. It's going to be PPR Venom. A very chaotic scenario here. Venom knocked out early. We're going to try and get him in here and see what happened. But an absolute travesty. Not even halfway through the session, and he's already gets knocked out. Alright, coming into the party with us right now, well, into the party shortly with us, I imagine, will be Venom, as right now we're watching Hazel as he's in the middle of a flyer lap as we speak. 6 drivers have set lap times thus far. Hazel trying to be the 7th. All right, and here we are coming into the party right now with us is PPR Venom. Venom, go ahead, include your audio real quickly. What happened that took you out of qualifying so early? We saw your car completely buried in the barriers there.
Pushing too hard, knowing I believe it's turn 7 there. Going up, I'll just put my car on the curb, and then to try and get myself to the left for the braking zone of the next turn, the car just stepped out on me and just slammed in the wall.
Alright, well, now the real question is, this is the last race of the season. Do you think you have what it takes to make a daring but impressive run from the back to the front?
I hope so. The car has been feeling excellent. I tested out race pace earlier, and the car feels excellent under heavy fuel load, so I'm hoping that proves true here today.
Alright, now one last question. I don't want to know your strategy in particular, but I am curious, what is going to be the way we're looking at when it comes to tire wear? Is there a possibility that we could be seeing a one-stop strategy with the hards today, or is hards completely out of the question? You just need to go from fast tire compound to fast tire compound all race long.
I think you said it exactly. You're going to want to go fast tire compound and fast tire compound because just the tire wear isn't that high really over this distance. A one-stop could be viable, but I feel like you lose way more time conserving your tires and being on the hards and say going all out on mediums and softs.
Alright, thanks Venom. That's the word from Venom. Reluctantly, he's not going to advance into qualifying session 2. But he was nice enough to share some information with us. As we turn our focus back onto the track, 10 drivers have now set their lap times, with the range being about 1.8 seconds from the top to the bottom as it stands right now. XRL Zola has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of. Ryan Hurricane is in the middle of a lap right now, well, a setup lap right now, and XRLO in the McLaren is also in a lap. He's running that second to last corner. Ultimate had a little bit of a hiccup there on his cooldown, but Lowe's going to try and be the 11th driver to set a lap time here. Coming uphill, and at the line, Lowe goes up to 5th, 109.313. The McLarens have been showing a little bit of strength late, despite losing their number 1 driver. It will be a spirited fight for the manufacturers/team championship here. This is Ryan Hurricane, one of the 2 drivers who have been fighting for the championship all season long. His teammate Danny JJ02 pretty much a lock for the title. At the line, Ryan Hurricane now begins his flyer. Zola, as we said earlier, he invalidated his prior lap. He now has another one he's in the middle of, and that is Hazel, who has gone around there on the run uphill. Now, thankfully, there's no one around him, so it will not be a significant issue, but he will probably be coming into the pits to get new tires on that thing if he wants to go for another run. Again, all 15 of these drivers now are pretty much guaranteed to make it into the next round. And frankly, if I was in Torpedo or Veloce's place, I'd go ahead, throw on a set of intermediates, because you don't have to worry. Just set a lap time and you're in. Go ahead, throw on a set of intermediates, and you cruise into qualifying session 2. Ultimate and both retired from the session. They feel that there is no need to continue pushing. Now BG Bullbeast has done the same. Fletch has just done the same as well. Zola coming around the last corner right now, down a very, very slight bend on the main straightaway, and across the line, he will set a lap time of 109.071. That's the 5th fastest thus far, and Ryan Hurricane has just set a 108.269. So now they're only waiting on Veloce and Torpedo, and neither of them equipped slower tires. They both put on the softs, so they both seem to think that the best thing to do right now would just be to go ahead and set proper lap times. Veloce already all the way around the circuit pretty much. Did not take him any time whatsoever. Purple Sector 1, 17.073. Again, Veloce, one of the last two drivers, will need to set a time. Most everyone else is retiring from the session already because of Venom's crash. Everyone here is guaranteed to advance, assuming no other drivers join at the last minute. I don't anticipate that happening. It's possible, but I do not anticipate that happening. 52 seconds at the end of Sector 2 for Veloce. Now Ryan Hurricane's retired. Lowe is on an outlap, so he apparently thinks that there is a value in doing a little bit more time. As Veloce goes up to 7th, 109.176. Now here comes Torpedo, 16.973 at the end of Sector 1. So Torpedo looking to be a little bit faster at the end of Sector 1 at least. Coming at the end of Sector 2, 52.329. I think he's lost a little bit of time there compared to Veloce. Coming to the line now. Out of that final corner and through the very, very small bend. At the line, Torpedo goes 6th fastest, 108.942. So that car seems to be a little bit better set up for the longer straightaways. Lowe is on a cooldown lap, as is Veloce, as is Torpedo. Ozda is trying to go for another lap here. Gonna go silent for a lap and ride on board with Ozda. And there's the word there. Ozza goes ahead and improves up to 109.458. Lowe is still on track as well, but it's an invalid cooldown lap. Will not be anything significant. Veloce and Smoothie are in pit lane right now. Ozza is on a cooldown lap, so we anticipate that this qualifying session will end significantly early here. Well, actually, no, Ozza might still be pushing for it. He's actually up by almost a full 10th at the end of Sector 1. Lowe retires from the session. Now it's just Smoothie and Ozda are the only drivers. Ozda goes faster. He's 3/10 up now. And at the line, up to 7th, 109.046. The clock is pretty much done for Ozda and Smoothie. I don't see a lot of value for either of them to get back onto the circuit. Ozda has a fuel light warning flashing as well. Again, PPR Venom crashed very early in the session, so a lot of drivers realized that they were not under any threat of being knocked out because of that. So after they set their laps, they quit. Ozda, one of the few exceptions, he kept pushing the entire time. Here we are. Ozza now comes into the pit lane. Now we just wait to see if Ozza and Smoothie will go ahead and retire from the session early and bring it early into qualifying session 1. Smoothie has retired, and now we're just waiting on Ozda. So yes, this qualifying session will end about half a minute earlier than normal. As it stands, in the McLaren, XRL Ledger is the fastest 108.108, and Ryan Hurricane second fastest 108.269. And there's your results right there. Ledger ahead of Ryan Hurricane. Real quickly, just going to go ahead and scroll on down to the bottom so you can see the last 2 drivers. Not even going to bother going through everybody, because basically everyone you saw there for the last 10 minutes, you're going to see in this session. But this session is where it's going to start getting interesting. Only the top 10 will advance into qualifying session 3. And this is where everyone ends up deciding what tire compounds they're going to be starting the race on. Waiting to see who the first drivers will be to get out into the circuit. Already about 5 of them have elected to run with mediums for the start. That's Bull Beast, Smoothie, Danny, Flesh, Beastian, and Veloce. And now we're finally seeing some movement, and I believe that is Hazel. Yes, indeed, it is Hazel who will be the first driver to get out onto the circuit here. And he will be joined shortly afterwards by one of the Ferrari drivers. That is Danny JJ02. Danny basically locked up the championship after last week's race. Sadly, the championship standings haven't been properly updated, but we believe that he locked up the championship, so he should still be the point leader by more than 27 points. 27 points is the max you can earn in a race. He should have, if memory serves correctly, 28 or 29 point lead going into this, so he should be the champion. It looks like a lot of drivers now are electing to go onto the mediums. Hazel. Now Ledger is out on the circuit. Invalid immediately. Here comes Danny. We're going to be silent for a lap. I'm right on board with your champion. See what a lap around here. I'm full is like. We tried earlier with Ozda, kind of messed up the timing, so we'll try again with Danny. Alright, and there's a full lap on board with your champion, DanJJ02. Was not a Ferrari driver for the majority of the season. Actually ran under Renault power for most of the season with the McLaren boys. He is your champion and will wrap it up as a Ferrari driver. Hazel, fastest lap right now, has only been a 113.319. Now, I imagine he's going for another lap now. Interesting thing is, everyone pretty much has elected to start, at least on the mediums, except for Hazel and XRL Low. And Low is still in the pits. He could like to make a change at the last minute if he so chose to. And now Flesh gets onto the board, and the other Alfa Romeo, he has set a time of 109.853. Now we might actually see what Hazel really has in store in that thing. Right to the top, 108.899. That's more indicative of the pace and performance we are anticipating from the soft tire compounds. Ledger is in the middle of the lap and spins and noses into the wall right in front of the Williams of Ultimate and one of the Haas machines. There goes the Mercedes of Bestium by, and now Ledger's going to try and get moving again. We can't see very well from this camera angle, but yes, there is wing damage on the front of that car, and that's not going to help him at all, to say the least. Young Maneuver is out in the lap right now. He had a purple Sector 1. Ozda is also in the middle of a lap. He is currently in Sector 2, about 10-15 seconds ahead of Young Maneuver. A humongous hit for Young Maneuver, and that's the second driver we've seen make that mistake on that section of the racetrack. But Young Maneuver is lucky to have not destroyed the car in the process. Ozda, meanwhile, comes across the line. He will go ahead and set a time of 109.694. Ultimate in the middle of the lap right now. This is the corner that's been giving drivers trouble. They get the rear tires spinning where they're not getting proper traction as they're going over those rumble strips on the outside. And it's causing the tires to basically overspeed. And when it finally grips, it completely rips control of the rear of the car away from the driver. It's made even worse if the driver is being aggressive with the steering wheel and they just go right around. Ultimate, though, not going to fall for that. He is already out of the final corner, coming down to that final little kink, and at the line, in the Williams, Ultimate will go ahead and set a lap time of 109.329. Veloce is in the middle of a flyer lap right now. Beastian just set a time of 109.776. Sorry, Veloce was setting up for a flyer lap. Now he is in a flyer lap as of now. .066 at the end of Sector 1 for Veloce, and he invalidates it almost immediately afterwards. That's not going to help him a lot. Now, the good news is he is on the medium, so as long as he has fuel, he can go ahead and go for another shot at it. The mediums have significantly more tire life than any of the other tire compounds. Torpedo in the middle of a lap, in the middle of a prep lap. Zola coming at the end of Sector 1, 17.218. That's a very good time at the end of Sector 1 for the medium tire compounds. Oh, and Bestian has had an issue. He's back underway now, but he's holding up a trail of cars. He's just going to pull off circuit right now and let some of them by. That is Zola, who's one of the guys who will go ahead and sneak on by. In the middle of the lap right now. Not going to let the yellow flags for Beastian deter him. Coming down to the last two corners, 52.654 at the end of Sector 2. Again, very decent lap times thus far, just considering that he has medium tires equipped on that machine. As they now begin going uphill once more. The 8th driver set a lap time is Zola, and will be a time of 109.300. And now, almost everyone is out on track. Ryan Hurricane, 16.9 at the end of Sector 1 on the mediums. Veloce is in the middle of the lap, but just a little bit farther up. Torpedo is going for another attempt. Leisure is going for an attempt. He's doing an attempt, though, on the soft tire compounds. Smoothie 25 is also in the middle of the lap right now. So we're going to see a lot of drivers be plopping lap times onto the board very shortly here. And there you are, Smoothie at the line, 109.145. The most impressive thing, though, and whoa, Ryan Hurricane, I was just about to say the fastest times are blatantly by the softs, but now Ryan Hurricane has busted that, 108.643. Nothing close to what Leisure did, though, but still very impressive. Veloce is in the pits, Young Maneuver is in the pits, Lowe is on an outlap right now. He is going to set up for a flyer. The time is ticking fast. Less than 6 minutes to go. 12 drivers have set lap times as it stands right now. Level 6 Beastin is on the bubble with Bull Beast and Fletch on the outside looking in. Veloce and Maneuver have yet to set laps. Lowe is setting up to get a lap on the boards. Bull Beast on a cooldown lap right now. And Veloce and the Red Bull team, they have gone ahead and elected to throw softs on his car. Nothing of the same thing from Young Maneuver, though. He's still with the mediums. Danny has equipped the soft tire compound in pit lane, but I don't know if Danny really has a need to rush out there on softs. There may be an advantage to it, because if something happens in the bottom of the field, yeah, he might get kicked out, but I don't see everyone lower down suddenly putting down fast lap times. Lowe is now in the middle of a flyer. Onto the second straightaway, what might as well be known as the back straightaway. He's got the DRS on, 17.097 at the end of Sector 1, so a respectable time there. Right now, it's only Fletch and Lowe on the track, well, and Veloce. Fletch, Lowe, and Veloce, and now it's only Veloce and Lowe. Those are the only two cars on the track. Ozzy is beginning to make his move back onto the circuit, though. So the track close to empty, but not truly empty for any long period of time here. As Lowe is coming up into his hairpin-like corner, needs to be very careful. There's a little bit of banking through there that could make it a little bit difficult to properly put the power down. No issues there. As Sector 2, 52.841, so he gained a little bit of time, looks like, at Sector 2. Now, out of that second to last corner, coming to the last corner, full speed through it, as a very small kink on the front straightaway. He'll go right by that, coming to the line. The DRS pops open. Lowe sets a time of 9th, 109.509. Veloce is now the next driver to watch because he is in the middle of an outlap, trying to set everything up, tries to line up his exit from that second to last corner perfectly. It's all full throttle uphill through here. He's not nearly as fast as I anticipated him to be. He may be aborting the lap. And yes, he is aborting the lap attempt. Young Maneuver is still in the pits. Level 6 BC is in the pits. Ozda right now is on the bubble. He saw that was coming and he reacted with haste. He is already out onto the circuit trying to set another flyer lap. He has the medium tires equipped right now and he goes around and he smashes the outside wall. And that, with less than 3 minutes left in the session, that is going to put a huge damper in the chance for Ozda to drag the AlphaTauri into Q3. I believe he had the ability and had a setup that could have enabled it, but he put the power down and just went right off, let the pressure get to him just a little bit. Now he has to hustle that thing around the circuit quickly but safely. Veloce and Maneuver have not yet made a move to get it back onto the circuit. Lowe, though, is out on track as we speak. He has medium tires equipped. But he is on a cooldown lap because his last lap was his flyer and he got up to 4th, 108.999. Still no movement from Veloce or Young Maneuver, but BG Bullbeast and Fletch are both out on track. ready to go faster. BCN is still in pit lane. Ozda needs to get to the pits as fast as possible, replace the wing, and get out there as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will have no chance of advancing. Ultimate right now is in a moderately safe position, but just in case, they have soft tires on that machine. Up to third, 108.800. Now this is the point where Danny, they've been sitting on Sauce for a long period of time, waiting to see if this would happen. It's happening now. He is reacting. He's going out onto the track now with the soft tire compounds because they're betting on Bulbies, Fledge, potentially Beastian, and Veloce knocking him out of the top. And Veloce goes around. He was on an outlet, but he went right around there. Zola has retired from the session, so he will not try again. He figures that the time is in his favor. He doesn't have to worry. Veloce needs to hope they did not damage the tires. Young Maneuver has not come out of the pits yet, and with less than a minute left on the session, that means he will not advance at all. Ledger has retired from the qualifying session. He feels no need to push any farther. Fletch is trying to navigate around BG Bulbies right now. Bulbies in the middle of the lap as we speak. Veloce coming down to the last corners. This will be his only chance to set a lap time here. Fletch, he will make it to the line in time to set another lap, assuming the tires aren't shot and he's out of fuel. Bulbies is laying on the ERS now. This lap right now is not the one that he'll set his flyer on. It will be the next one that really comes down to it. Ozza retires in the pits. There's no way for him to get back on track now. Bulbies now begins his flyer. This will be the lap to see what the Haas can do. Torpedo is on an out lap, and he will get across the line with just enough time left. Ultimate is going to bring it into the pits. He is not pushing. Now we turn our focus to Veloce. Bulbies, Fletch, and Veloce, the three drivers that could knock Ozda, Danny, and Torpedo out, and maybe even Zola. Veloce, the most important one to watch right now, and Bulbies has made a mistake, and that will kill Bulbies' attempt to advance. We turn our focus to Veloce once more. He has not set a lap time yet. 52.426 at the end of Sector 2. Now out of that second to last corner. Here he's coming down out of the final corner right now. There's just one small little full throttle kink on the front straightaway, and then the uphill run to the start-finish line. Veloce comes to the line. The time he sets will be 109.234. Ozza is out. Torpedo is on the bubble now. Torpedo responds by coming out of the final corners, and he's got two Ferrari-powered machines ahead of him. That will be Danny and Fletch at the line. Fletch will go ahead, and he will go 109.147. Danny retires, feels no need to go faster. Torpedo with a monster lap at the last minute, 108.592. And Bulbies will be coming across the last few corners with a little bit of shame on the Haas machine as he spins around coming out of the second to last corner once more. The lap was already invalid, and this is just a little bit more agony. He's going to have to bring it up from the back of the field up to the front in today's event. Qualifying session 2 now is come to a close as Bulbies crosses the line. And the fastest car at the end was Ledger, but the interesting thing is going to be the tire selection because I saw a really nice spread of softs and medium tires at the end there. So we'll see what it was at the end. The top 10 drivers to advance: Ledger, McLaren, Torpedo in the Tracing Point, Hurricane in the Ferrari, Ultimate in the Williams, Hazel in the Alpha, Lowe in the McLaren, Smoothie 25 in the Renault, Fletch in the Alpha, Zola in the Renault, and your champion, Danny JJ02 in the Ferrari. 5 drivers on softs, 5 drivers on medium. Veloce could not make the cut, sadly, in the end. Ozza could not make the cut. Beastian could not make the cut, neither could Bulbies, and Young Maneuver did not get a single lap time in. He attempted twice early on in the session, but did not get back on track for a serious attempt later when it was needed. Okay, everyone go ahead, take a calm breath. After a relatively calm and relaxed qualifying session 1, after we saw Venom crash out in the first 4 minutes, everyone calmed down there. Now, everyone went crazy in Q2, and we prepared to set up for Q3 here. In the broadcast booth with us, we have Kinsey Retro. Kinsey, go ahead and include your audio. You have been driving this series for a while. Gone ahead, take a little bit of a leave due to just various scenarios. But thankfully, it looks like you will still be here with XRL for the finale of this season. Okay, well, the big thing is you're going to be starting in the back of the field because you missed qualifying completely. That's not going to help you. Do you have a I don't even want to know your actual strategy. Go ahead and surprise us. But do you have a strategy to get up through the field today? Alright, so realistically, we know that you've got your best result this entire season was a second, and that was back at the circuit, Bahrain, thank you, at Bahrain, after you led a bunch of laps there and ended up coming home resounding to the second place finish there. Do you think you can match that kind of performance today? Maybe not with leading all the laps, but with that kind of finish. I will be looking forward to that, and that is one other thing to consider. While XRL will be taking a break from F1 for about, 3 to 5 weeks' time before they start doing serious races again, there will be other XRL stuff going on. I've been working along with one of the X2 commentators, Root Beer King, on trying to get a NASCAR league spun up that would run at about 5 p.m. UK time, and that would be hosted on Forza Motorsport 7. But, so that's something that drivers will be trying to do. I don't know for sure, but isn't PRL going to be doing something also during the in-between time? I see how it is. So you're trying to play the politics game and trying to cozy up to the nationalist tendencies of the leader. I see how it is. All right, Max Mosley, we got it. We got it. Alright, well, if you're going to do that, I got rid of my copy of Horizon 4. I'm not crazy about the Horizon games myself. I turned it in. But there's always a very, very good option to go ahead and chase rallying. So I would highly encourage you to do, like, a rallying thing in that game if you're going to try to do that. Well, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start turning my focus back onto qualifier in here. There's not really a whole lot else I can really directly add to that. But anyways, 5 drivers have set their lap times. The gap from the fastest to slowest is about 1 second right now. So now 6 drivers have set their lap time as Zola goes across the line with 108.498. Danny is trying for another out lap right now. Ledger is in the middle of a flyer, as is Torpedo. Torpedo has a purple sector 1 with a 16.9. Blow is still in the pit lane and has not yet made a move to get back out onto the circuit. Danny was one of the first drivers to get out onto the circuit, but immediately invalidated his proper flyer and lap and had to abort early. So he's going to be in a slightly unique scenario because although he's right behind Torpedo right now, Torpedo will be on a cooldown lap when Danny is on his flyer. So Danny will have to very quickly navigate around Torpedo as he starts his flyer, as we watch Torpedo right now coming to the line out of that last corner, coming across that last little kink. The DRS is open as that tracing point travels uphill. He will set a lap time of 109.122. Now the focus is on Danny. What will he do to get around Torpedo? We also have a little bit of focus when it comes to Ledger. Ledger's inbound in the lap, though. Ultimate is in the middle of the lap, and he's got Zola right behind him. Zola has very low fuel, so it's going to be interesting to see if Zola's still going to push. And Ultimate and Zola are both coming into the pits. Danny has already worked his way by Torpedo on the back straightaways. Now he begins going uphill through Sector 2. You had to spoil it. Curses. So, to be fair, I'm not too upset myself, but I did say earlier for anyone who was watching to go ahead and check that race out later if they had not already done so. So, I am not too upset for my own personal reasons. I'm more upset for people who might have wanted to catch it on their own and might not have known already. Nope, Ledger's on his way out now. .953 at the end of Sector 1 for Lowe. What I could see done, I'm not saying this is what they will do, but what I could see, Lowe puts in a mad banker of a lap and then backs way off in the first 3 corners after that so he can try and give Ledger a tow on the back straightaway. I don't know if you could time that well enough to make it work, but that is a reasonable strategy to try and go for. 52.040 at the end of Sector 2 for Lowe now. Ooh. Yeah. 107.917 is the new fastest time, and that's by Ryan Hurricane, the Ferrari. So even though the championship is basically no longer possible for him, he is still putting on a very, very strong show. It's been a spirited two-man fight throughout most of the season. I have to think, though, that the move to put Danny into the Ferrari with Ryan is one of the things that helped brought Danny a little bit closer to Ryan's sights. But in the end, it's still Danny's championship. Ryan just trying to have the best second place finish to the season possible. If that term makes sense, I don't know. Now that I think back at it, that term made more sense in my head than it did when I said it out loud. Alright, well, here's the thing. Ledger didn't catch Lowe on the back straightaway, but he's right there behind Lowe now. So he can definitely get a draft off his McLaren teammate going down this straightaway. There's no doubt about that. Ooh, boy, did it ever! Wow, you could see it. You could see that was very, very plainly a little bit of team help. You could see Lowe immediately yank that car right off the racing line. Just the millisecond before Ledger crossed the line. That was a very bold play. I don't know if you're going to be able to beat that. McLaren's been very, very strong qualifying 1, qualifying 2, and a little bit of teamwork. The strongest right now in Q3 with 2.5 minutes to go. Fletch is on another outlap as he's coming across the line to get another flyer going. I'm still a little bit miffed that there was no Suzuka or Monaco. Yeah, we're we're at the end of the season. I'm just gonna say this: how in the world do you let France stay on the calendar and let Baku stay on the calendar, but you don't have Suzuka or Monaco? Those tracks are literally F1 royalty, and you couldn't have them. Like, come on, guys, come on. Yeah, absolutely. I know that there's more potential overtaking opportunities at France than there is at Japan. Sure, bite me. I don't care. Japan has a much more iconic track, has a much better flow to it, and in the scenario that you do have a fast driver put in the back of the field, they always put on a magnificent show trying to climb up through the grid. That's one of the reasons I absolutely always have loved the Suzuka circuit. It's not just that way for Formula 1, it's that way for everything that races there, but Formula 1 especially makes a really good thing there. Wow, Ultimate! It's on his cooldown lap, and he very nearly wrecked it going through turn 4. Has to go wide off of 5 to regain the car. We are in our last 30 seconds now. Ultimate trying to see what he can do. The clock is ticking, it's ticking fast. Smoothie 25 and Zola are in an interesting position. Smoothie is up on time, and Zola will have the draft off of his teammate Smoothie. So two teams potentially trying to pull something. There is a Ferrari-powered machine. I believe that's Flesh. Yeah, Flesh has gone off out of that second to last corner. The clock is ticking. I don't know if Zola or Smoothie will make it. The time is running out fast. They won't get another shot at this. In fact, time's up. Over. Plow. And at the line, what will it be? No improvement from Hazel. What about Smoothie and Lowe? Smoothie jumps up to third. Zola does not improve, though. Zola botched it despite having DRS assist. Ultimate retires from the session in the pits. Ryan Hurricane, right now he's in the middle of the lap. He's up by 45 thousandths. That would be just enough to get him ahead of Ledger, and if he does that, he would be able to do that without drafting help. He has the last corner to go. He goes through it. He invalidates at the last corner. He's up by over half a second, coming to the line. What will it be for Torpedo? Sixth. And that will conclude the session. And for the Alfa Romeo team of Flesh and Hazel, frustration as they were not able to do any better than 9th or 10th. Ultimate was able to start 8th. And it's not been a great season for the Williams cars whatsoever. Again, the slowest car is a hard thing to overcome, but he will start 8th with a good race start and some good strategy. He could easily transfer that into a decent points day. But right here, real quickly, go ahead and read off our top 10 starters for the day. All right, good luck. I will say this, if, and please don't actually do it, but if something happens to you that takes you out of the race, you're open to spend the rest of the race in the broadcast booth again, like it was at Australia. But please don't let that happen. I actually like to see you out onto the racetrack doing race driver things. All right, well, now is the 5-minute countdown until we get into the race itself proper. Just standing by for the moment. Excuse me. It'll be about 5 minutes until we get into the race again. No threat of rain throughout this event. That is what I was told by Zola, who helps get the race properly set up. So although the clouds are a little bit thicker now than they were during qualifying, we should not be anticipating rain. One thing that will change, though, is that it will drop the temperature of the track just a little bit. That means that for these drivers who will be starting on cold tires, although they've already have a heat cycle gone through them, because for everyone in the top 10 will be the tires they did qualifying session 2 on. But it will be a little bit harder for the teams and the drivers to get their tires up to a proper operating temperature. Thankfully, it's not like Baku, where you have to worry about the front tires cooling down on the straights. The straights here are not that long, and there are enough corners here to keep them up to heat. Once you get the tires into a proper operating circumstance on the circuit, you should be able to keep them there. But it will be a little bit harder for the drivers to get up to an proper operating temperature, especially the drivers from 11th on back, who will be starting on fresh rubber instead of used rubber. For now, we just are going to stand by until we get underway for the race proper. And actually, I have been wrong. I've been proved wrong. So apparently, right, I was wrong. Danny might as well be your champion because the chance of this happening is extremely unlikely. But if Danny does not get any points today, then Ryan Hurricane could win the title if he takes max points. But that would require Ryan Hurricane to not have any invalid laps in the race. It would require him to win, and it would require him to have the fastest lap in the race. Doing 2 of those would be possible for Ryan. I have no doubt about that. Doing all 3 is extremely difficult because typically you'll see drivers outside the top 3 go ahead and pit in the last 5 to 10 laps of the race, throw on softs just so they can get an attempt at the fastest lap of the race. You would have to have a very, very strained race for the fastest driver to also be the one who also wins the race. It can happen. We've seen it happen before, but it's extremely, extremely rare. So realistically, I think this championship is Danny's, but if Danny gets knocked out of the race without scoring 8 points, we will go ahead and we will turn more of our focus back on the championship threat. But again, as it stands right now, realistically, Danny is your champion, and we are here for race points and manufacturer points. Anyway, he's going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break for a short period of time until we get underway with the race itself. Should be a slightly earlier start than normal for the green flag because Q1 was truncated and short. All right, and there we are. We're already readying up for the race itself. Like I said, we get really quickly underway as we're at 4 lights. As lights out, away we go for a last time, and the Renaults did not get going whatsoever, but Ledger is sailing right off the bat into turn 1 without issue. Well, at the back, you can see Kenzie Retro, Ozda Venom, a whole lot of trouble there, and there's something else we didn't expect. Danny has plummeted to the back of the grid. Right to the very back of the grid at that. Oh, and that's a massive accident. Oh, and there's a bigger accident. And Flesh is out. BCN is out. And Flesh, the car is completely destroyed. The tire is on the roof of that car. Danny has some wing damage on that machine as well. So a complete travesty of a first lap. Danny fell right out of the top 10. Now is dead last. And Flesh is out of the race altogether. We're going to try and get Flesh in here to see what happened, but an absolute massive accident in the first lap coming out of turn 3. Where's Flesh? There's Flesh. This is your champion. He has damage. There's a very outside chance that he might not get the championship if the race goes bad. Well, it started bad for him, but coming to the party right now is Fletch 2020. Fletch, go ahead and include your audio. A massive shunt back there. Are you okay? And what happened? So when you pull up the party, it will show like Insane Leader 13's party is being broadcast, and there'll be a box. You need to click on that box and say include my audio. Yes. No, on. But no, I don't think that's the one. So when you pull up a party, when a party gets set up, at the very top will say the person who has the party is being broadcast, and there'll be a box saying include your audio. Not that one. It's at the top. It's at the very top. It's going to be above our names. Alright, well, just ignore it then. Just tell me what happened that took you out, and I'll repeat it on the stream then. Alright. So going across the grass, coming down to turn 3, right into the people, and then knocked you back into the inside wall. Massive shunt. It's a shame to see you knocked out. Out of curiosity, what are your plans, though, for next season with F1 2021 coming? Any particular XRL series you want to run in, though? That's the question I have. Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to seeing an XRL again. Thanks, Fletch, and it's a shame to see your season end significantly early. Alright, well, now we turn our focus right back onto the track. And while we were talking with Fletch, Kinsey Retro, I told him to not do anything silly. I wanted to see him actually do proper racing stuff. But he is out of the race already with what looked to be an accident in pit road, as we're going to try and get him in here and see what in the world happened there to Kinsey to take him out of just barely more than a lap into the event. Danny and BC still have yet to catch the back of the field. Kinsey somehow knocked out of the race already, though, in pit lane, apparently disqualified for blocking pit lane. That's the word we're getting, because he had a crash trying to get back onto the circuit. Gonna try and invite him in one more time. Now, the field is properly all gathered up now. We should be going green this lap, coming on to lap 4. Ledger pole, Ryan Hurricane second. Very fortunate pole for Ledger because although he had some help, Ryan Hurricane was set up to have a faster lap, but Ryan invalidated it in the last lap, his last flying lap on the last corner, and it kept him from getting pole. This very easily could have been Ryan starting on the top spot. It ended up not being the case, but it was extremely close. And there's the word. Yes, safety car will be coming in this lap. I'm going to try and get Kinsey in here one more time. Well, okay. I guess he got off altogether. Anyways, coming to the green flag here. Ledger is already stacking the field up just a bit. They're a little bit more than I like, but if the entire field's getting stacked up, that means that Ledger's going to try and shoot out of here like a hurricane. Like a hurricane? No, that's what you do if you rock somebody. He's going to try and shoot out of here like a bullet out of a gun. And there he is. We're off. Ryan did not get the greatest start, and Zola is there ready to capitalize. Farther back, though, look at this. Already moves trying to be made farther back in the field. 3 wide going into turn number 1. That ain't going to work all the time, boys. There's a little bit of contact, and Yamanura has to back out as PPR Venom is already making his way back up through the grid. Ultimate also is up back again into 11th position. Going down the straightaway. Now Venom looks to the inside, neck and neck for the position. Even farther up, though, Veloce is watching Smoothie and Hazel having their own little spat for position. Hazel has moved up into the 6th spot now. Hazel is behind Bulbies, who is just a little bit behind XRLO and the other McLaren right now. Azel right underneath Bulbies, putting some intense pressure, trying to regain some points for Alpha Romeo after his teammate Fletch got knocked out early. Low sees Zola ahead, but not really able to do anything to Zola. Zola is trying to keep up with Ryan Hurricane, as Ryan Hurricane has set a purple sector 2 there, as he's going to try and run down Ledger. Hurricane has the advantage of a draft, and if he can stay within a second, he will have DRS against Ledger, but he needs to stay within a second. One thing that will help significantly is the draft is extremely powerful down the straightaways here. Ryan Hurricane just set the fastest lap of the race right there alone. Granted, it's the only true flying lap of the race, but that goes to show that he knows what he's doing. He's going to keep Ledger just in his sight so he can utilize the DRS and try to overtake him. With no ultimate on a very unique stop strategy, he has hard tire compounds on. He fitted after that lap 1 accident he was involved in. Teammates Venom and Ozda are fighting for the 10th place position points, but this is the interesting fight. Ledger got 2 tires right into the dirt there. Hurricane is all over the rear end of Ledger. And the other thing is Ledger has softs that are worn. Hurricane has worn mediums. Hurricane's tires are going to last significantly longer than Ledger's. Ledger's has the advantage of fresh air, but Hurricane will be able to match that with having tires that will be able to last longer in the dirtier air. Coming down to the final 2 corners once more. Hurricane falls off from Ledger just a bit, but starts closing back in the moment they get onto the straightaway. Zola is not closing on Ryan nearly as much as Hurricane is closing in on Ledger. And we should see DRS being enabled next lap, I imagine. Oh, DRS has just been enabled. Yep, so next lap DRS will be enabled. We might even see DRS get utilized now as they come down the back straightaway. And yep, there's DRS. That will help Ryan Hurricane get even closer to Ledger. Now, he doesn't want to be so close that it leads him to burn his tires off completely in Sector 2. But he's closer now than he has been for a while. Farther back, Danny is trying to make his way back up the field. He has Torpedo right ahead of him right now. Ozda has finished his battle with Venom. He has ended up behind Venom. Ozda has older tires than Venom, though, so Ozda will have to pit before his teammate. But this is the real battles. Lowe is going to be working on Zola, and Ryan Hurricane will be working on Ledger. This time, Ryan will have DRS, and he's a little bit closer to Ledger this time than he was prior. Putting the power down now of that second to last corner, he loses just a little bit of time. Not as much as before. He's even closer than he was without DRS. He could make the move going into turn 1. The DRS is enabled. He's right there. He looks to the outside, neck and neck for the top spot. And going into turn 1 is a dive by Hurricane. But Ledger is going to hold on to the spot. And Lowe made a mistake. And he's going to lose the position to Zola, lose the position to Bulbies. And there's been an accident. I don't see what the accident is, but there has apparently been an accident. What happened? What happened that put us under a full course safety car? Okay, well, I see Veloce has wing damage on his machine. I don't see anything on Ozda's car, and from Venom, there's significant wing damage there. So it looks like Veloce and Venom tangled a bit, but they didn't get too far sideways, I imagine, considering they were able to continue. But we are under a full course safety car already. For Ledger, that is great, though, because that means that his tires will last a little bit longer, and he'll have a little bit fresher air on the front wing of that car for a bit longer, because as it was going, Hurricane was almost a lock to overtake Ledger going down the back straightaway. Oh! Well, what? And your maneuver has just gone completely off circuit as well. What in the devil? But we see now Veloce and Venom coming into the pits to repair the wing damage. Why did your maneuver just steer off the racetrack like that? That was one of the weirdest things I've seen in a long time. Well, either way, it happened. Veloce equipping the soft tire compounds. Venom, they are going to keep him on tires. They're going to put worn medium tires on Venom's car. I believe those are tires that he... When did he... Okay, well, he has worn tires, but they're not the tires he started on, or maybe they are. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. But Venom has worn mediums, and Veloce has fresh softs. It'll take him about a lap to catch the back of the field. So a very, very strange start. Now, Ultimate just got a penalty for a collision with the maneuver, but I don't know how legit that is. Well, in traditional Brazil fashion, everything goes Brazil sideways. And okay, we're going to go green this lap. That was a very, very short safety car, to say the least. Not even 2 full laps. We honestly could have had it as a virtual safety car, but okay, I'm not going to complain too much. As we turn our focus to the front of the field once more, Ryan Hurricane needs to do the same thing he was doing to Ledger earlier. Danny up to 12th now. Danny will likely walk out here your champion. The only way that doesn't happen is if something happens to Danny. Already a struggle going on in the back of the grid. Veloce overtakes Danny right immediately. Danny has the outside lane, but he's not able to convert that into any serious advantage. He actually ends up cutting the track. Oh, and Venom gets really sideways. Danny cut right in front of Venom, and Venom is not going to be happy at all about that. Torpedo gets by Ultimate. The hard tires are not helping Ultimate whatsoever. Torpedo sees his teammate up there. He wants to make something happen. Farther up, though, Bullbeast is going to be a threat to Ryan Hurricane because Bullbeast has the soft tires, and he is going to make them work. He very nearly chops into the back of Ryan Hurricane there. Ryan right on the back of Ledger. Torpedo over Ultimate now, and Torpedo will now put his sights on the car ahead. Oh, and Zola has had an accident. Oh, and that's brought Ultimate off circuit as well. But Bullbeast is there behind Ryan Hurricane. Ledger, you can see the rear tires on the McLaren struggling to put power down, coming out of that second to last corner. All 3 of these cars are in a draft train. Hurricane Ledger, will he try and make the move going into turn 1? Not yet, he doesn't. Bullbeast is not going to help his advantage that he has. Young Maneuver got by Ozda farther up though, so Young Maneuver puts another car between himself and his teammate Torpedo, and Ozda now has to find a way to get back by Maneuver as Maneuver puts his sights on Smoothie. Veloce has a fresh set of softs that he's going to try and cut through this grid with. He has Torpedo right ahead of him. He's going to try and make a move. Right there, under heavy braking on the inside, he locks up the tires, a little bit of contact, and he goes right around. Oh, he very nearly backs into Zola. Well, so much for those soft tires, obviously. And the frustrating thing for Ultimate, he's not able to capitalize. The Williams just does not have the pace necessary. Hurricane is right there behind Ledger. Bullbeast is falling off just a little bit. He may have already overtaxed and overheated those soft tires. Hurricane is right there behind Ledger, going uphill. You can see Bullbeast and Low in it being a fight of their own. Low on the outside of Bullbeast, neck and neck, and going into the first corner. They're still side by side, but as they go, as the crossover completes, Low is ahead of Bullbeast now. So McLaren first and third. Torpedo had a little bit of a scuffle there with Zola, but they will continue without issue. Danny is already back into the points paying positions. Bullbeast trying to find a way to fight back against Low, and that is exactly what Ryan wants to see, because Ryan just needs to figure out now how to get by Ledger. Again, Ledger has the advantage of front of fresh air, but he will not have draft down the straightaway. So in the corners, the battle right now is in the favor of Ledger, but on the straights, it's going to be in the favor of Hurricane. Beastian has had an incident now. Significant front wing damage on his car. DRS has been enabled. What will Ryan do? He was in this position earlier, was not able to complete the pass. Ledger defends the inside line. Ryan Hurricane on the outside. Neck and neck for the lead going to turn number 1. The McLaren has the car ahead for just a moment. He will slot ahead of Ryan Hurricane for good, but Ryan will have DRS again going down this straightaway. Ryan on board with Lowe. He has DRS on both of these drivers. Ryan not in a position to do anything against Ledger on the back straightaway. Oh, and Ultimate's out! And now Beasting's coming in the pits, but Ultimate went out in the pit lane, which is one of the weirder things about that. So now Ultimate is out of the race. We're going to try and get Ultimate in here to see what happened to him. As we continue to watch a three-way battle for the lead here, as Beasting is still in pit lane right now as they're trying to repair front wing damage on that machine. Hurricane not as close as he was before to Ledger. He's got DRS advantage, but Lowe is there, ready to capitalize if Hurricane makes the wrong move. Ledger defends the inside. Hurricane goes to the outside. Oh, and Lowe is there, and the worst part is, Hazel is closing in as well. Hurricane will have DRS again on this straightaway. He's right there. He looks to the inside of Ledger. Ledger has the outside line. Hurricane on the inside. Ledger able to put the power down a little bit smoother, and that's going to be what keeps the McLaren ahead. And as the two leaders are fighting, it's bringing everyone else up into this fray. Now you see Ledger pulls away from Ryan Hurricane through the twisty sections, the fresh air really helping him. The moment that he starts spending any serious time on the power, Ryan closes in again. Not close enough to even attempt to move this time. Ledger understands this is going to have a more traditional, wider entrance into turn 1. A little bit of a lockup from Lowe. Hurricane right there behind Ledger, now outside this time. And he's got him. By having the outside line at the end of that back straightaway, he has him. Now Ledger will not have the advantage of clean air going through this section. He's right underneath Hurricane, though. He can try potentially to outbrake him in one of these corners. Not able to do anything yet. Ryan Hurricane's being smooth and defensive right now. He's going to try and shoot out of these last few corners with just one more serious braking zone on this lap. Veloce has had another incident back there, farther back in the field. Oh, and Lowe goes around now! Right out of the third position. Oh, and Ledger just got by Hurricane. I didn't even catch that, but Ledger got a great run out of that second to last corner, and he just got right back by Hurricane. And now Lowe has fallen all the way back to 10th. And he might even lose that to Zola and Torpedo now. Hurricane is right there behind Ledger and can't figure out a way to stay ahead of him. He got ahead, but he couldn't stay ahead. Farther back, Young Maneuver is trying to put pressure on Smoothie 25, and ahead of them are two cars with burning soft tires, Hazel and Bull Beast. And here's the other thing that might play havoc. Ryan Hurricane and Ledger will be dealing with the lap traffic of Beastian sooner rather than later. Oh, and Venom just went off! And that's two accidents in the same place as it was earlier. And Ultimate's out now! No, Ultimate's been out. Never mind, I thought it was Beastian for a second. I messed up. But now Venom is out of the race again. And we're under a virtual safety car. Try and get Venom in here. As we're under a virtual safety car, Bull Beast will take this chance to get off strategy and put on a different set of tires now. He will be back in the grid quite a bit, almost all the way to the back of the lead lap cars, but he will have fresh mediums, and he will be glad to utilize that, especially considering that he will actually gain a little bit of time because he did it under yellow while everyone else will be doing it under full green. Danny got by Ozza without issue, so Danny now, oh, and Ozza goes around, and Ozza nails the inside wall with significant front wing damage as well. And here comes Low and Zola, and they're gonna have to nail by. Here comes Torpedo, he'll get by without too much issue either. Hazel is actually closing to leaders in all this as Ryan Hurricane and Ledger continue their fight. Yeah, there is a lot of crap going on here, and Ozza's out! And now Ozza's out of the race. We're only 16 laps in. We've gone through almost a third of the grid already. Beastian is likely going to get points just for virtue of not killing the car. We're going to try and get Ozza in here now. This is your battle for a top 3. A very spirited fight at that. Alright, and coming into the party right now is PPR Venom. And he left right afterwards. We're going to try one more time to get him in here. Where is he? Oh, and there's a little bit of a move there. Ryan Hurricane trying to get on the inside. Can't make it stick, though. But he's right there. He has to be very careful, though, because there's fighting behind him now. Well, potential fight behind him as well. Not able to get Venom into the party. So, oh, he's Hazel. Needs to be very careful putting the power down. He's very aggressive right in the aerodynamic wake of these two cars ahead. He has soft tires that are burning up right now. Hazel closing in rapidly on Ryan Hurricane. Much faster on Ryan than Ryan is on Ledger. Ryan's going to have to be defensive against Hazel. Hazel to the outside, and he botches the entire braking zone. Now he's going to lose it, so now it's back to just Ryan and Ledger for the top spot. Smoothie is going to shoot to the inside. He will overtake Hazel at the end of that back straightaway now. Hurricane still can't do anything to Ledger, though. And now Young Maneuver is going to try and do something as well. And Veloce, this is like the third or fourth different incident on his part. And now he has gone off without a wing. Venom declined to actually share any word, just very frustrated with what happens. We are back under a virtual safety car now due to what's happened to Veloce. This will help Beastian a little bit. A little bit longer that he can stay on the lead lap. Should be coming to the green sooner rather than later, as Hazel will use this to get into the pits. He will take off the soft tires, and that's the big... Oh, and Hazel got a penalty for speeding in pit lane. But the big benefit for those drivers that is going to hurt Ledger is that Ledger is destroying these tires. Now, the longer he can go on the softs, the better off he'll be later on when it comes to right on the mediums. But as it is right now, Ledger, the race is falling farther and farther away from him because he has to deal with gradually worsening tires. Oh, and Veloce now is out. We are not even 20 laps in this race, and we're already down to only having 11 drivers in it. But Veloce now out of this race, and we're not even close to being in a position to see what happened to him. We're going to try and get Veloce in here real quick. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's right on the racing line as well. Well, hopefully they got... Alright, they got Veloce's car out of the way. Coming into the party right now is XRL Veloce. Veloce Big accident there on the front straightaway. What happened to take you out? Veloce, can you hear me? Alright, I guess not. Maybe having trouble getting voice properly synced up, or may not have voice enabled. Nope, there he is. Alright, yeah, real quickly. Veloce, what happened to take you out of the race there? We saw you had like 3 or 4 spins, but you crashed in a place that no one else has really had an incident thus far today. What happened?
I spun at 3, I think it was. Lost my wing, went to go around the final corner. I was going too fast, so I tried to brake. I locked up my inside, and I just went straight on, basically the last corner. So, and hit the took my wing.
Alright, so Travis, to see that happen. Now I just have to ask: with this season over, can we anticipate to see you in XRL next season?
I mean, I'm starting feeling a lot more up to speed on it. I mean, I set 2 fastest laps before that DNF, so I'm certainly feeling like I am a lot quicker than what I was 2-3 weeks ago at France. So yeah, I'll be racing enough to everyone, by which point hopefully I'll be even more up to speed than I am now.
Alright, well, that's words from Veloce. It's a shame to see you get knocked out of the race like that, though. As farther back in the grid, as we turn our back onto the racetrack, Hazel has just overtaken Bullbeast, a little bit of DRS assist on the main straightaway, and Young Maneuver has overtaken Smoothie 25 for 3rd position. But the battle for a lead continues. Ledger continuing to stay out on circuit with tires that are just giving him nothing but pain right now. You can see him twitching and struggling to keep that car straight on the track all the way through Sector 2 now. The advantage he was gained through there is significantly lessened now. And once again, these two are closing in on Level 6 Beastian, who is on hard tires and is just fighting to stay on the lead lap. Here comes Ryan Hurricane. He's got DRS. This is the closest he's been to Ledger for a long time. Neck and neck. He's going to easily overtake him. It took 21 laps, but Ryan Hurricane has finally overtaken Ledger. Now, he did this once earlier, but was not able to hold it, and he lost it going down the back straightaway. What about this time? Ledger has fallen well off of Ryan Hurricane this time. He's closing back in under DRS, but he's not going to be close enough to make another move on the outside. He looks to the inside, but was not able to deny the inside to Ryan Hurricane. He's right there. He's underneath. He makes a little bit of wing-to-wing contact. They're going to be neck and neck for the spot. And around the outside goes Ledger, but he cannot keep it in there. He's really struggling. He's pushing those soft tires to a limit that I don't think can be properly hit. He's still right there on the softs. And by now, those softs have to be hurting. You can see him really struggling to keep traction properly on the racetrack. He is within DRS, though. If he maximizes his exit out of this corner, he will have DRS that he could utilize. The problem is Ryan Hurricane will have DRS potentially off of the Mercedes of BCN ahead. That's exactly what happened. BCN is now a lap down. Ledger, time penalty for track violations. That's not going to help him. He is now significantly fallen off from Ryan Hurricane. He's the only driver on softs right now. Everyone else is running mediums. And Hazel and Bullbeast are, well, Beastian's on hards, but at this point, he's not going to directly affect this race, I imagine. And right now, as it stands, Ledger is going to have to come in and change tires sooner rather than later. Zola and Torpedo are having a little bit of a spat between each other right now. Oh, and Beastian, more instance. That's not good. He ended up holding up the lead lap traffic. There's not really anything he can do about it, though. Hazel, be careful. Bullbeast needs to be careful. And Ledger gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That will not help him one bit. He will have to serve that, I imagine, when he comes in next time. Danny now working on the other McLaren. This is low that he's trying to put a focus on. Ledger putting on another set of softs. A very interesting strategy. But he will be faster than everyone else on track for some time. And we know he can go 22 laps on the softs, so he could probably go into lap 44 and then throw on the mediums and make the mediums last to the end of the race. Look at this, Ledger trying to outbrake Torpedo. Doesn't have to worry about it. Torpedo botched the corner on his own. Now Ledger puts his focus on Zola. It took Ledger no time whatsoever to get up to speed and start making ground. He needs to be careful. He can't afford to make any mistakes. Now he goes around the outside of Zola and makes a little bit of contact. Zola's not going to be happy with that one bit. Very aggressive, frenetic driving from Ledger. But Ledger now has clean track ahead of him and behind him as Danny gets ahead of Lowe as Lowe is going to come into the pits. But Ledger is going to be flying. There is 3.8 seconds between him and the next car on track, and that's Danny. And depending if Danny pits or not, he might not even have to worry about that. So Ledger is going to gain a lot of time just from having clean track ahead of him. Hazel now looks at Torpedo. Torpedo went off circuit earlier on his own merit, and now Torpedo seems to be struggling to keep traction in the front tires on corner exit. So Hazel's going to try and do something with Torpedo. This is the only real battle happening on track at the moment. Torpedo on very worn tires that he's had since being involved in that lap 1 incident. Now the run uphill begins. Ledger is just the fastest lap of the day thus far, 1:10.798. He's right there. Hazel's right there underneath Torpedo right now. Looks to the outside, can't make the move there. Has to back out, so he's not really able to shoot out of this corner with as much momentum as he'd like. But there's the room. He's got the room on the inside, but it turns to an outside in the next corner. He's got the inside here. Neck and neck for 6th and 7th position. Ooh, that was a huge lunge by Hazel. Hazel will have DRS this time, though, on Torpedo. To the inside. Neck and neck. For 6th position, give it to Hazel. Ooh, he locks up the brakes. And they make contact! And Torpedo's around. Torpedo tried to defend just a little bit too much. The two drivers made contact, and now Torpedo will lose the position of Bullbeast and will fall down to 8th. And that will not help him whatsoever because the next two drivers behind him, Lowe and Zola, are on fresh softs. Farther up, Ledger has already caught Danny. Forget already caught Danny, he's already passed Danny. Yeah, forget already past Danny. He's already opened up nearly a full second on Danny. So Danny will have DRS on the straight, but he's not even close enough to do anything. Even with DRS, he's just barely staying within 9/10 or so of Ledger, and Ledger will easily break that and extend that going through these corners here. Now, Young Maneuver is closing slowly on Ryan Hurricane, but Ryan, Young Maneuver, and Smoothie will all likely have to pit at about the same time. Ledger has nothing but clean track ahead of him, more than 9 seconds worth of it. So he can really put some abuse on the soft tires right now and do so for a long time. We know he can go about 22 laps on the softs, but he had a lot of those laps under yellow, which will artificially change how the tires wear. Smoothie is falling off a bit from Young Maneuver and Ryan Hurricane, though, and most of the battles on track have pretty much evaporated. Torpedo was in place to potentially do something to Low, but that gap has opened up a bit recently. So we started with 17 laps, and before we even got 19 laps completed, we trimmed the field down to 11 laps, with only 10 of them staying on the lead lap. And the struggles for Mercedes, they've had some good moments here and there, but this season looked like it's going to end for Mercedes the way it's been most of the year. Just horribly off pace. The car been an exceptional diva, and the drivers have just not been able to get the diva happy enough to work. Jesus Christ, Ledger, what in the world? I know you have soft tires on, but you are putting down laps and cutting the time between you and the leader like nobody's business, as it is. So go ahead and change it to intervals to the leader. Yeah, already Ledger less than 14 seconds out from Ryan. So when Ryan Hurricane does inevitably make his next stop to get off this set of mediums, he will lose the lead by a significant amount to this man. Lowe has caught Bullbeast, though. The soft tire is working in his favor. Smoothie is pitting out of third position. Because of how spread out the field is, though, I don't know if Smoothie's going to end up worse than 8th, honestly. This is going to get really interesting. Lowe is right there behind Bullbeast. Goes to the outside with the DRS advantage. Easily sails by. Smoothie still coming out of the pits right now. He will come out right in front of Lowe and Bullbeast. He has soft tires. Now, Lowe's tires are already up to speed, but I think the gap is wide enough that you can't do anything to him. Ledger already less than 13 seconds away from Ryan Hurricane right now. So yep, Smoothie is clear of the Hazel. Zola sees Torpedo ahead, not close enough to do anything to him though. And Ledger already within 12 seconds of the leader. So now the field very much spread out. It's all going to come down to pit strategy. There is still a little bit of battling going on farther back in the grid, though. Zola and Torpedo in position to have a little bit of a fight. Torpedo on very warm medium. Zola on nice, relatively fresh softs. Might not even need DRS. He will take the DRS to help finish the overtake, but Zola easily cruises by Torpedo just by having a better run out of the last 2 corners on that lap. Bullbeast will be the next driver that Zola will deal with. And as this stint continues, Ryan Hurricane and Young Maneuver have been on their tires since the start of this race. Danny has been on a set of tires that he's been on since he repaired the damage that he took in the lap 1 incident. But everyone else has made at least 1 pit stop. Well, no, actually, Torpedo is in the same boat as Danny, but Torpedo's just not been nearly as lucky. Zola already caught Bullbeast. Christ alive. And now Zola will have DRS on the main straightaway against Bullbeast. Shoots to the inside, very, very close, neck and neck. Zola will sail ahead without issue. But the next driver up for Zola to try and go after would be Lowe, and Lowe is on soft tires just as fresh, so I don't imagine Zola's going to close in on Lowe nearly as fast. So now the question is, when does Ryan, Young Maneuver, Danny, and Torpedo make their pit stop? When Torpedo makes his pit stop also, the question is, although he's more than a lap ahead of Beastian right now, he might run the risk of going a lap down in relation to Ryan Hurricane. And I'm not saying that would happen, I will say that is a risk, and that could be an interesting conundrum there. Meanwhile, Ledger is now within 10 seconds of Ryan Hurricane at this point in the race. So he has absolutely flown his way through the field. Smoothie is caught Hazel. So right now the soft tire is proven to be much superior than the mediums at this point in the race, because everyone is so spread out for most part that you're not spending a lot of time behind other drivers. I mean, even when you are behind another driver, you have the soft tire compound. You're able to utilize that to get right behind the person ahead and then overtake them in the corners or with the DRS. So as it is right now, the soft tire compounds are the stronger tires of choice. Now for Ledger, that's going to be interesting because he started on the softs. This second stint he's running on the softs. He'll have to run the mediums at some point in this event though. Ryan Hurricane and Young Maneuver are still on mediums that they've started the race with. When they come in and pit, they could elect to go on mediums again and then run a really, really fast late race stint on the softs, or they could elect to jump onto the soft tire compounds to make up ground that they've been losing in this interim, because when they get on the softs, everyone who's been on the softs for a while will have worn softs and won't be as fast as the fresh ones. All the battles on the track have pretty much evaporated at this point in the race. That's all the strategy situation right now. Let me see if I can bring up, here we are. So here we are. These are tire compounds for everyone who is pitted thus far. As you can see, Ledger in a very unique position because he has elected to do 2 sets of softs to start the race. On the other hand is Danny, who although he's realistically still on the first stint, he's basically committed to the medium start. He realistically has not pitted yet. And on the same note, you can also look at Zola, not Zola, oh wait. I'm wrong. No, Torpedo. Yeah, because Torpedo had to repair damage. Torpedo realistically is in a scenario where he has started on mediums as well. Gap between first and second, Haynes steady at about 2 seconds, give or take about a quarter. But Ledger has basically stalled out in that forward momentum. He is at about 9.2 seconds out from Ryan Hurricane and hasn't closed in much more since. As I say that, he just closed in a little bit more there. There is significant front wing damage on the Mercedes as he has gone around. So now, the situation is, regarding Beastian, he needs to be able to complete at least 95% of the race if he wants to earn points. And that would also be assuming that anyone in the top 10 also ends up not finishing the race. Otherwise, Beastian runs the risk of leaving here with no points if he doesn't complete at least 95% of this race. Well, Ledger has gone ahead and regained the form in the last 2 laps because his gap between himself and the leader had stalled at about 9 seconds. Now it's closed to about 7.5. The question still, though, is when Ryan and Young Maneuver inevitably come into the pit lane, what will be their tire compound of choice? And here's the other thing. At this point, these 2 drivers, Ryan Hurricane and Young Maneuver, have run half the race on the medium tires. If they could go to, we know that the softs can last about 22 laps if you have a lot of yellow. But with how spread out the field is right now, I wouldn't really bet on a lot of yellow coming. I think at this point, Ryan Hurricane and Young Maneuver are betting on making only one more stop in this race. They're going to push these mediums as far as humanly possible, then get on and try and make roughly a 20-lap stint on the softs. So that would be a big ask. But Ryan and Young Maneuver might try and make 50 laps on the medium tires. They will be helped by the fact that there was a lot of yellow in the first 20 laps of the race, and that will help preserve the length of their tires' life. But you'd still be asking 50 laps of the mediums, potentially. It's a risky strategy, but that is a strategy I can foresee them most likely doing. Because as it is right now, even though Ledger will likely have to pit one more time for new tires before this race is over, the amount of time that he's gained on the softs has been so extreme that I think you'd have to try and do a one-stop. So that way you're not going to lose to Ledger, because Ledger gained so much time in this stint alone. As it is, Ledger is now closed within 5.5 seconds of Ryan Hurricane. And he's continuing to get closer. It's now getting to the point where Ledger is within 4 seconds of Young Maneuver, and throughout various parts of the track, he can plainly see second ahead of him. So Ledger right now trying to do the Michael Schumacher strat and just outdrive everyone else. The question though is how much longer will his softs last? And he will inevitably, he has no choice, he'll have to put on a set of mediums at some point in the race. But through sheer pace alone, he has almost totally eliminated all the gap, not the gap, but all of the loss of time that he would have taken. As Smoothie goes by Danny, so there we are, another driver on the soft tire compound, significantly faster than someone on very worn mediums. So champion Danny falls to 5th, and at this point, even if Ryan Hurricane walks out here with max points, Danny is guaranteed to walk out here with at least 1 point, unless he finished 11th without completing at least 95% of the race. So, realistically, I think you can say that Danny is officially a champion. There was really no doubt after the finish of the race 2 weeks ago at France, but it was a mathematical possibility. I did want to bring it up. But that possibility is basically null and void at this point. Ledger now within 4.25 seconds of Ryan Hurricane. He continues to close. And here's the other thing. Ryan Hurricane on his own right is also closing. Yeah, Yun is closing on Ryan Hurricane as well. Farther back in the grid, Lowe has caught Hazel. Lowe's tires are burning, though. This could be a good representation, though, of what could happen if Ledger catches Yun Maneuver on the racetrack. Can Lowe get by Hazel? Now, Hazel's tires are half as Yun, as Danny has made his pit stop finally. Well, it seems very clear there. There's nothing about it. The softs are faster. Now, Hazel's going to fight back with DRS to try and get by around the outside, but Lowe has soft tires and now fresh air. Hazel will try and outbrake going into these braking zones, I imagine. But I don't think he's going to be able to keep his car ahead. His best hope will be for Lowe to make a mistake. I don't see it happening. I think Lowe is significantly better, so even very worn softs seems to be significantly preferred than moderately worn mediums. And right now, that speaks very, very poorly for the situation for Ryan Hurricane Young Maneuver, because Ledger, by himself, has overcome an entire pit stop, basically, and he's now within 3 seconds of the leader, as within 1.5 seconds of second now. BCN has had another incident. He's now 2 laps down to Torpedo. But this is going to get interesting, because Ledger is now within potential DRS range of the Young Maneuver. If he can close in just a little bit more in these braking zones, he could utilize DRS to start fighting with Young Maneuver. The advantage for Ryan, though, is that he will have to take time to overtake Young Maneuver. But after he overtakes Young Maneuver, there's no way about it. He will go right for Ryan Hurricane again. And Ryan's tires, and there you are. Our top 2 have now decided to pit. And they did at the perfect time, because they decided to do it at a point where Ledger would not get the advantage of the DRS on the main straightaway. It's a very small knock, but it will hurt Ledger just a little bit. Ryan Hurricane is equipping soft tires. What about Young Maneuver? Softs as well. Young Maneuver got held up by Beastie and coming into the pits, and that has really forced open the battle and basically broken apart. So now the question is, Ryan Hurricane has 18.3 seconds between himself and Ledger. Ledger is going to have to pit. When does Ledger make his final stop? If I was Ledger, I'm going to be 100% honest, I think the best thing you can do is to stop this lap, put on another set of softs so you can directly match Ryan Hurricane for the rest of this race. because the longer and longer he stays out here on this set of tires, the more and more the benefit is going to go in the favor of Ryan Hurricane. And that's exactly what he's going to do right now. So this is the battle. The car we're watching right now is Ryan Hurricane. He has led a good chunk of this race. He is second right now. The car in pit lane is the one to watch, though. That is XRL Ledger. He is in pit lane still. They're serving a time penalty, and that's not going to help him. That might be enough to give the win to Ryan Hurricane. Hurricane's already overtaken Ledger on track. And it's going to be a long time before Ledger can get onto the circuit. So I think, oh, and he's on the mediums as well. Now the advantage he has is that he very nearly wrecked it coming out of the pits. But as long as Ledger doesn't let anything bad happen to him, he can push those tires to the end of the race. The counterpoint to that, though, is that Ledger is going to have to deal with Ryan Hurricane, opening up a massive gap on the softs. And Ledger is still dealing with Young Maneuver, who also just pitted. He has fresh softs. The battle right now is in the favor of Ledger. He has the ideal line going through these corners. A little bit nose to tail action there. The gap right now, 4.2 seconds between Ryan and Ledger. It was a valiant choice and strategy. But as it stands right now, it looks like the battle for the race win might go in favor of Ryan Hurricane. Because as this race goes on, Ryan is going to set off faster and faster lap times, and he has soft tire compounds to do that with. The gap between Ryan and Ledger is going to be about 7, almost 8 seconds right now. Smoothie is in between the two of them, but we anticipate Smoothie will have to pit before the race is over. Also of note, Torpedo is still on the same set of tires that he's been on since repairing the damage they suffered in the lap 1 accident. Bullbeast is also on very worn mediums as well. So I think at this point you can seriously consider giving the race win to Ryan Hurricane. The interesting thing, though, is that Young Maneuver has the softs, but he's not able to overtake Ledger like Ledger was cutting his way through the field earlier. Again, both these drivers have fresh tires. Mediums has less grip, but they'll last longer. And Young Maneuver has the advantage of DRS, but he has dirty air that will compromise those soft tires' effectiveness just a little bit going through the corners. Lowe is coming to the pits now. He is taking off the tires that he's been on for a long time. Those are 20-ish lap old softs. Zola is going to stay out another lap. He pitted at the same time as Lowe, but he's going to stay out another lap. This is the most active battle on the track right now. But we still have to see when Zola will come and when Smoothie will come in and pit. We also don't know if Bullbeast will pit. And we don't know if Torpedo will make another stop or not. And Maneuver now has DRS on Ledger going down the straights. He's going to utilize that to the fullest ability that he can, as BC has had his 5th or 6th incident today now in Sector 2, but he has gotten underway without issue. Here we are, Young Maneuver right there within 1/3 of a second of Ledger. Dives to the inside, neck and neck, and will easily overtake him on the straight. So Young Maneuver now is able to utilize the soft tires and get ahead of Ledger. Ledger going to have to find a way to fight back. Now, the good news for Ledger is that he kept Young Maneuver behind him for a while, so the softs on Young's car will be a little bit more worn. The problem, though, is that Ledger was fighting for the win against Ryan Hurricane, and now he doesn't have any advantage over Ryan. Zola still out on track, has not made his next pit stop yet. He could probably run one more lap and then come in and put on another set of softs to go to the end. Torpedo is finally coming to the pits, and he is equipping soft tire compounds. And those are softs that he will probably make last to the end of the race. Zola staying out for one more lap. As real quickly, we bring up the race director one more time to look at the tire compounds for everybody. Beastian on mediums, he will possibly make those go to the end of the race. The top three, Ryan, Smoothie, and Yun, are all on soft tire compounds, but Smoothie will likely come in and put on another set of softs. Ledger is on mediums, and he will likely make those mediums last to the end without any issue whatsoever. And Danny is on softs that he will make last to the end without issue. Again, Danny is fighting, not really fighting for anything. He can drop out of the race, and at this point, he will have the championship pretty much locked up as long as Beastian doesn't somehow end up scoring points. As we look at time penalties, Torpedo 15 seconds of time penalties, Bullbeast has 6 seconds, Lowe has 8 seconds, Danny has 9 seconds, Zola has 6 seconds, Hazel has 8 seconds, and Ledger has 3 seconds. And here's the other thing, Ledger is still utilizing DRS and is keeping himself right on Young Maneuver. So he's putting a lot of pressure on the third place car, and it's keeping Young Maneuver from just walking away. The thing is, Young Maneuver very shortly is going to start getting DRS when Zola's in pits, finally. Young Maneuver will very shortly be getting DRS off of Smoothie, and he'll be able to utilize that to potentially break away from Ledger. Ledger is not falling off under the medium tires like we were expecting him to. But Ryan is all by himself right now. Zola has equipped soft tires. He's 6.7 seconds out from Lowe, but will likely be able to charge right up and pass Lowe before this race is over, considering the massive pace difference we've seen today between the soft and the medium compounds. Bullbeast has come to the pit and has also equipped softs, but Bullbeast is in a scenario where he has no need to worry about anything. He's already back out on track and is still over 10 seconds ahead of Torpedo. Well, a little less than 10 seconds. But there's no likelihood I see that Torpedo will overtake Bullbeast. And then when you compile that with the fact that there is a massive amount of penalties that Torpedo has against Bullbeast, I think it's safe to say that Bullbeast will safely be in 9th, assuming nothing goes wrong. Lowe is in a bad position because he will likely fall to 8th, and if things really go bad, he could even fall farther than that. At the same note, Hazel is likely to automatically lose 5th position when he finally makes his pit stop. Because he has 31 lap mediums, if he even tries to go to the end on these sets of tires, Danny will easily overtake him, and Lowe could even end up overtaking him, as could Zola, because they all have fresher tires. Hazel pitting, though, would mean that he would drop, without doubt, down to about 8th position. Ledger is in a position where he is still fighting with Young Maneuver. Young Maneuver, though, is going to try and utilize Smoothie 25 ahead to stay ahead, and Young Maneuver got a time penalty following Smoothie a little bit too intensely, and that's not going to help him. Ledger to the inside. Not able to make it stick. Now Young Maneuver has clean track ahead, but he also has a time penalty, and Ledger has a better run on the straightaway. Neck and neck for the 2nd position. And Ledger goes up into 2nd. One thing that will help Ledger is that now he is leading this little group in the more technical sections on the racetrack. That means he has clean air on the tires, and that will artificially extend the life of the mediums a little bit more, make him a little bit more effective closer to the end of the race. The problem, though, is that he's now nearly 10 seconds out from Ryan Hurricane. So at this point in the race, it's seeming more and more unlikely that even with the mediums, he's actually going to be able to do anything to Ryan Hurricane towards the end of this event. Again, we were seeing earlier that very worn softs. Oh, and Young Maneuver is going to go around and he spins all by himself trying to follow Ledger. This changes everything because now Ledger does not have to worry one bit about any pressure from behind. It is all about fast lap times. Ledger, time penalty. And that's the other thing that's not going to help Ledger. Ryan Hurricane is still clean and has not set a tire on all day long. Neither him or Danny have set a tire on all race long. However, the counterpart to that is that Ledger has racked up 6 seconds now of time penalties. That's going to be extremely hard to overtake. So realistically, Ledger is not overtaking, is not trying to make up 9.5 seconds to Ryan Hurricane. He is trying to make up 15.5. Smoothie has finally come in and has put on soft tire compounds. He is ahead of Lowe, and Lowe is still liable to go lose positions to Zola and Hassel on the racetrack. The gap, though, between Ledger and Yun is large enough, and with Yun's spin, I see no way that Yun is going to be able to get back up to Ledger before this race is over. One other thing to consider, though, Danny has softs that are already 10 laps old, and he needs to go another 17 laps on them. I'm not saying it can't be done, because it absolutely can, but Smoothie, 25 behind him, has no time penalties, and his softs are significantly fresher, and he's only 2.6 seconds out. As the softs start to fall off for Danny, Smoothie might make a gun and run for 4th position. Might make a gun and run for 4th position. That idiom doesn't make a lot of sense. He might gun for it and make a run for 4th position. We'll go with that instead. He's within 2 seconds still of Danny, so that will be an interesting battle to watch. Here's the other thing to watch, though. I've been watching. Ledger has actually been very slowly closing the gap on Ryan Hurricane on the medium tires. Not at a rate to bring him into Ryan Hurricane. However, Ryan's tires will continue to get worse. Ledger's are still going to be in a good operating zone all the way to the end of this race. So with that in mind, I'm not saying it will happen, but I will say there is a potential that Ledger could still catch Ryan on the racetrack before the race is over. We're at 17 laps to go right now. And Smoothie is still closing in on Danny. This battle for 4th and 5th, the most active one on the circuit at the moment. The gap's now down to about a second, actually closing less than a second now. Smoothie will have DRS on Danny on the straights very shortly. And a lockup on Danny's part is not going to help one bit. We'll be silent for our next few laps and watch as Smoothie tries to close in and overtake Danny for the 4th position. If anything else happens, though, we'll break in. Well, that overtake did not take very long whatsoever. I do imagine, though, that this is probably the ceiling of where Smoothie can get in this race. There's still 6.9 seconds between himself and Young Maneuver, and that was with Young Maneuver having spun earlier in the race. I don't see any way that Smoothie would be able to overtake anyone in the top 3 unless someone in the top 3 had an incident, like a spin or a crash. Ledger, another time penalty for track violations, and his gap is actually stabilized now, more than 9.5 seconds away from Ryan Hurricane. So at this point in the race, I think where everyone is on the track is where they are going to finish, with the exception of Lowe and Zola. Zola is still slowly taking away time from Lowe. This is the battle for 6 that still could pop off before the end of this race. But the field is very much spread out, and we're not liable to see anything else really happen on track at this point. And that's mainly because in the first 20 laps alone, we saw a half dozen drivers get taken out in accidents. I know it says Kinsey Retro was disqualified, but he had an accident coming out of pit lane. One thing that will help Lowe, though, is that Zola is racking up time penalties. So now Lowe has only 8 seconds, while Zola has 9 seconds. Not really a lot actively going on the racetrack. We are still curious to see, though, what may happen between a potential battle between Lowe and Zola for 6th and 7th. But other than that, the gaps are open wide enough that we anticipate that everyone will finish pretty much where they are on the racetrack. For those of you who are just joining us, your champion is Danny JJ A02, so the championship battle is basically over pretty much after the first 20 laps of the race. However, Ryan Hurricane is still looking to sail off with a win and potentially an extra point for clean laps today. In addition to that, though, we have had a bunch of accidents. Fletch had a massive accident out of turn 3 on the very first lap that involved 3 other cars. Kinsey Retro was one of them that came into pit, had a crash coming out of pit lane, and the game immediately disqualified him for that. Then Ultimate had an incident all on his own, trying to make the Williams work. Then Venom had an incident simultaneously with Ultimate on an opposite end of the racetrack. That brought out a yellow flag, and while Venom was trying to bring the car around into the pit lane, he crashed in the last corner and took himself out of the race. Ozda had a spin shortly after the restart from that took him out, and then Veloce had an accident as well. BCN has had several spins throughout the race and has not been a factor whatsoever. Torpedo has just gradually fallen off pace. Throughout the day, these soft tire compounds have been significantly faster than the mediums. Even very worn softs have been faster than moderately worn mediums. However, tire application strategy has come into play, and that has been the main thing that has set up the racing and running order as it is now. Young Maneuver was fighting very intensely with Ledger for second. After Ledger came in for stops, Ledger on the mediums was able to hold off Young Maneuver on the softs for about 4 laps. Young Maneuver got ahead, Then Ledger, despite being on the slower tire compound, got back ahead of Young Maneuver, and then Young Maneuver ended up spinning, coming out of the second to last corner, dropped more than 10 seconds out from Ledger. Yun is closing in again now, however, with 10 laps to go left in the race, and at the rate that Yun is closing, I see no way that Yun will actually overtake Ledger for second position. But the big thing is that Ryan is looking to end the season strong with a win. Very nearly could have started on the pole, but a mistake in the last lap, his last flying lap on the last corner in Q3, kept him from setting a time that would have beat Ledger for the pole position. Danny was involved in that first lap accident and had to really squeeze to avoid several others, but he has recovered nicely, and it looks like he is going to finish 5th today. Also of note, the battle that we are anticipating to form between Lowe and Zola has pretty much dissolved. Zola is falling off when it comes to lap times now. The gap between 6th and 7th is now 5.5 seconds. At this point in the race, for all intents and purposes, I think we would say that this race and this season is over, and I want to say an absolute big congratulations to Danny on winning his championship. There was a battle regarding the manufacturers championship between McLaren and Ferrari. However, Ferrari has rebounded very strongly in the last 2 races between Ryan and Danny. I see no way that they could not have won the manufacturers championship with that in mind. I'm not saying it happened for good. I do not have the point sheet properly updated after the race at France, so I cannot say exactly where the points are regarding manufacturers championship. Nor can I say how it is with the drivers championship, but it's a little easier for me to tally that in my mind. And I've had some help from other people. But we anticipate that Ferrari should win both the drivers championship, although kind of illegitimately considering Danny was a McLaren driver most of the season, and they will easily take home the manufacturers championship. So congratulations to Scuderia Ferrari in XRL, which I would argue is potentially the hardest division within the entirety of XRL. Maybe not the biggest division, I would agree with that, but definitely one of, if not the hardest, within the entirety of XRL. Also, with the way it's stacking right now, assuming BCN is able to finish this race, he just needs to complete roughly 90% of the race. So if he can just keep him going more than 7 laps down, BCN will walk out here with 1 point. That point will be virtue of having the fastest lap outside of the top 10 positions. So BCN will still likely walk out here with 1 point for the Mercedes team, and that will help significantly for them with their manufacturer's run. Regrettably, his teammate Seal was not able to show up today. He had personal appointments, nothing bad from what I was told. It was a family get-together, but he had things that was going to keep him from today's race. Young Maneuver looks like he's going to come home 3rd. An outstanding job on his part doing so as well. This man has been pretty much Mr. Excitement since the start of XRL, always willing to do an alternate strategy, something extra, something different. I think the big thing was at China, which was the 2nd race of the XRL season. He went ahead and was pretty much locked into about a 5th place position. He came in with about 20 laps to go, threw on soft tires, and dropped them all the way down to 9th, and he didn't care. He overtook everyone ahead of him and got right back to 5th. It was not a net gain of anything, but it was exciting, it was fascinating to watch, and that's why I think that you could say easily without a doubt Young Maneuver has been the most exciting driver within XRL this entire season. Smoothie, I also want to give a thumbs up to him. He is looking like, oh, okay. Beastin, what? No! And Ledger is out! And that's a full course safety car! And the entire race has just been blown wide open! Ledger! Let's just crash out of the race! How could this happen? And that car is a wreck! And we are under a full course safety car now. Everyone will probably come in and get a new set of soft tires, and it's a race to the end. But we need to get Ledger in here and see what happened. What in the world? Well, Brazil, it's Brazil. This is why no one wants to go to Brazil. I mean, this is why we want them to go to Brazil, but no one wants to go to Brazil because this kind of stuff happens all the time here. We're going to see probably the entire field come into the pits and put on fresh tires. Hazel has a little bit of advantage because he had just came out of he was already in pit lane when the yellow flag came out. So he will likely overtake Bulbies. All right, coming into the lobby with us right now is XRL Ledger. Ledger, go ahead and include your audio. What happened, man? You had second position easily locked up. What? Was it like lag that kicked you out? Did you make contact with someone? Oh boy. Well, I'm sorry to see that happen. I do have to ask though, like, there's not really even anything to ask. It's an absolute travesty. You had the pole, and although the race win was out of question, I actually am gutted for you, mate. Like, I'm seriously gutted. I don't even care for McLaren, and I'm gutted. Alright, so a question I do have to ask for you, though. Are you intending on running an XRR season when XRL shifts to F1 2021? Alright. Well, thanks, and again, it's an absolute travesty to see you get taken out less than 15 laps from the end of the race. Alright, farewell. Well, I guess that goes to show me to write off this race as an end. Here I was, going on, talking about the race being over, and giving my accolades and congratulations to everyone in the season. Very sure, very confident in myself that everything was over, and we were just going to be watching a very spread out procession to the end, and everyone's strategy had been fully executed, and Zola is out now! And Zola has had an accident! And things just going from bad to worse now! Zola has crashed out under the safety car! My guess with Zola is that he put the power down coming out of the pit lane and crashed. But now one of our other drivers, so now two more drivers have just knocked out in the last... We're under yellow flag. We're under full course safety car and another accident. And the field still hasn't properly gathered up either. And for Beastian, this is going to be huge. Because Beastian will be able, as long as he doesn't crash out, he will be able to overtake Zola and Ledger. He will take home 9th place points. It's going to take him about another lap or two, but he's going to take 9th place points. What in the devil? Oh, and here's the other weird thing. Torpedo elected not to pit under this yellow. I think it was because he didn't want to go a lap down, because he wanted to stay on the lead lap, basically. But yeah, Torpedo looks like he will probably be able to get back on the lead lap. Here's the thing, it's 68. Lap 68 is 71. You know, I was saying we were in the last 15 laps. I need to take the back. We're within the last 10 laps. Right now, as the way it is, 69, 70, 71. We're going to be going green with what will basically be 3 laps to go. It's going to be a 3-lap shootout to the end. And Smoothie now has a chance of winning this race because he doesn't have any time penalties. Ryan Hurricane has an advantage because he doesn't have any time penalties either, but Smoothie doesn't have any time penalties. If Young Maneuver and Ryan Hurricane make a mistake, he could jump right up there. And DRS is going to be enabled almost right away as well. Beastian is still out by himself in the back of the field. He's not going to catch the back of the grid in time. I can tell you that right now. But I think we're going to go green out of this lap. If we wait another lap, if we wait until lap 70 to go green, it's a green-white checkered shootout with a rolling start. Oh, boy. Yeah, BC is now officially overtaken Ledger, and he'll overtake Zola in about another lap's time. So yeah, BC is going to walk out here with 9th place points, just from sticking with it. So an outstanding job to Beastian on that. And Torpedo has ended up back on the lead lap. And wow, that was a last-minute decision, but safety car is in this lap, and they literally wait until the last minute to decide that. But that's the word. The safety car will be coming in this lap. The entire field, all 9 drivers are all gathered together. So here's the question. What can anyone do to Ryan Hurricane, who has dominated the middle third and final third of this race? They're coming down. It is 3 laps to go. Green, white, checkered finish here. Smoothie cannot keep up, but Young Maneuver is still right there. Farther back, Lowe and Danny are fighting 4th and 5th positions. Hazel and Bull Beast are in as well. There's a little bit of contact. Nothing that can be done. Danny and Lowe are still at. Lowe's going to lose a position, lose 2 positions. He might even lose 3 positions to Bull Beast here. A little bit of contact. Nothing too serious at the moment, though. Lowe's going to get the position back from Hazel for the moment. Hazel is still there, still looking to try and get by Lowe. So the fight is alive in the back of the field here. Bullbeast, another time penalty. And here's the other thing, time penalties are going to be a big issue here. Young Maneuver needs to find a way to get by Ryan Hurricane and run, because he has a chunk of time penalties against him. Smoothie is likely to walk out here automatically with a 2nd place finish because he has no time penalties. Young Maneuver is right there. He is behind Ryan Hurricane. DRS will be enabled the next lap. So Young will have a chance to overtake Ryan Hurricane on the track. The thing is, Ryan will still win because of the time penalties against him. There are some battles. Bullbeast got back by Hazel, but he's still struggling with that Haas. Now Hazel will have a chance to make the time back on this straightaway. And Maneuver is still there behind Ryan Hurricane. A little closer this time than he was before. But again, the time penalties are not going to work out in Young's favor. If he can beat him on track, though, even if it wouldn't be a race win, it would definitely be a great win for his confidence. Level 6 BCN is now officially taken 9th. Here we are. Young Maneuver will have DRS this time. But the real focus is going to be for potential position. Here's BG, Bullbeast, and Hazel. Hazel has only 6 seconds of time penalties. Bullbeast has 12 seconds. So this battle will likely go in Hazel's favor either way. In the same vein, there's nothing Torpedo can do. Torpedo's 18 seconds of time penalties. Lowe is behind Danny, though. Lowe is automatically going to end up ahead of Danny because Danny has 9 seconds. So even though everyone's really close to each other on the racetrack, at this point there's not really anything that can be done because all the time penalties are basically locked in everyone's position. As long as Bullbeast doesn't crash or Hazel doesn't crash, those positions are already decided just due to the way time penalties are going to fall. But meanwhile at the front, Ryan Hurricane missed the pole and wasn't able to lead the first 20 laps of this race. But once he took control of the race settled down, and he was in easy control for most of the event. He is coming into the final 2 corners now, and although Young Maneuver is up there with him, and he was fighting with Ledger earlier, in the end, Ryan Hurricane showed why he was one of the dominant championship contenders this season. He will easily lock up second in the title fight, and will win the season finale here at Brazil. With Smoothie taking 2nd, Young Maneuver taking 3rd, XRL Low taking 4th, Danny, your champion, taking 5th, Hazel with 6th, Bullbeast with 7th, Torpedo with 8th, and Level 6 Beastian will come around to take 9th. From just purely sticking with it. A absolutely ridiculous race, to say the least. Here's your winner, Ryan Hurricane. And congratulations to Ferrari. And with the way that McLaren pretty much collapsed here between Ledger dropping out and then Lowe not really being able to contend for a win outright, I think we can easily say that Ferrari will lock up the Manufacturers' Championship as well. Driver of the Day, Young Maneuver, I could agree with that, if not for the fact that he was not able to really get anywhere above second throughout the latter bit of the day. I think Smoothie 25 is a relatively good lock for Driver of the Day as well. And I'd also say Beastian as well, considering that he actually had what it took to stick with it, and it ended up rewarding him with a good chunk of points late in the event as well. But that is the end of your race here, and the end of XRL. Now tomorrow, we will still be going through X1, X2, and X3 series finale on the main channel. This one, X1 will be finished by Kinsey Retro, and at 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow, it will be the X2 season finale will happen at 5 p.m. UK time on the alternate channel. I'll be covering the finale for X3. But here you are, Ryan Hurricane is your race winner, and he also took the best lap of the day as well. So he took home almost maximum points. He just didn't get the pole, sadly. But still, an outstanding job on Ryan Hurricane's part. I sent him an invite, but he's not coming into the party, so I'm assuming he might be just too drained and exhausted from the race itself. I'm not going to harp on him for that or anything like that. He's made it very clear sometimes he's just not willing to jump into the race afterwards. So anyways, that's it. XRRL is over. It was a 17-race season, a very spirited title fight throughout most of it. Although, once we got a little bit past halfway, the fight very slowly and inexorably shifted in favor of Danny, and Danny was able to use that to cruise to a title pretty much by just surviving the first 20 laps here. By default, he won the championship. But either way, it was a very good title fight. We had a lot of interesting races. We had some bad races as well. The USA season opener was an absolute travesty. But we had some pretty good races as well throughout, including a very interesting season finale. But now it is time to close the chapter on this. We anticipate XRL will come back at about the same time in about 3 to 5 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, on the same channel, and imagine I will probably be doing the broadcast for that also. But anyways, that's been it, and once again, congratulations to your champion, DannyJJ02, and congratulations to Ryan Hurricane for an outstanding win here. There's not a whole lot else to say, so we're going to go ahead and close out the broadcast, and I look forward to seeing and talking to some of you guys tomorrow for X3. Until then, sayonara. Also, remember, starting next week at 5 p.m. UK time, I'm not sure if it will be the main channel or the alternate channel, but there will be a NASCAR league that will be going underway from XRL, and I personally will be doing on my own personal channel, Insane Leader 13, just like my gamer tag. I will be doing OSRL, because OSRL is trying to come back for their 4th season. So 2 different NASCAR series will be starting up, including one in a little bit later tonight. But anyways, until then, sayonara. I look forward to seeing you again from the broadcast booth.